So this offseason, in my opinion, as a leader, I think we've done a great job of taking the next step in terms of finding out how can we get to the national championship. Obviously, like you said, we have those expectations, and we're not oblivious to those expectations. So we're figuring out how can we get there, right? How can we make it to the national championship? And so I think that in order to do so, we have to concentrate on us. We have to show up every day with intent. We have to show up every day with the national championship in mind, because those are our expectations. Not only does the outside world have for us, but what we have for ourselves. And so, like I said, as a leader, I think we've made every day count, and I'm looking forward to showing that week one. Yeah, we're, like I said, it's our expectation, as well as Ryan just said, what the media has expected of us. And so we have a plan to get there, but in order to do so, we have to take it 1 week at a time, and that's what we plan on doing. Yeah, so to answer your question about the defense, in my opinion, in the 4 going on 5 years that I've been at OU, I think that this is our most complete roster on both sides of the field, on offense and defense. And so I think that you guys will see that this coming season. And in terms of me on offense, the way that I think that I've improved is specifically route running. I'm pretty sure you guys will see that this coming season, is as well as my yards after catch. I think I did a pretty decent job of that last year, but I just want to continue to show what I can do in all positions on the field, as my role as a fullback, H-back, whatever you want to label me. Most importantly, I want to be known as a playmaker, both at OU and at the next level. So that's what I've been working on. Yeah, me and Coach Riley have had many conversations just between us over the past few months, mostly because of my leadership role and the way that he wants me to guide the team. But in terms of my specific role, I don't think that I've ever gone to a coach and asked for more necessarily. I think that Coach Riley has always been fair in recognizing talent and recognizing hard work and putting players as well as myself in a great position to have success. And so I trust him. He's improved my role a little bit more than you guys have seen, and it'll be fun come this fall. Yeah, our offense has been, I wouldn't say it's been different every single year, but Coach Riley has done a great job of making sure that the offense has fit every single quarterback. But to answer your question, I think it makes a world of a difference, especially for Spencer, to have him returning in his second year. And I think that you'll see him take that next step. In my opinion, I think he has, especially over the spring and over the summer. But to put it all together come this fall, it'll make a world of a difference in his experience, his nature for the game. Yeah, considering it's probably the most important position in football, but to have him come back, it builds confidence, and that helps for any player, no matter what position it is. Spencer is no longer just QB1 or just a part of the offense. It's more, now it's his offense. Now he's able to see things that maybe he didn't see last year, or put the ball in gaps that he didn't put in before. And so when you have that confidence, when you're starting to play at a level where things just come naturally, it just makes things better for everybody. Yeah, so my route running is different than those receivers. Our guys are special. So talking about Theo Weiss, it'll be good to have him back. I know he missed a good portion of spring, but Jaden Hazelwood, Mario, those guys, they run better routes than I do. But when you're at the University of Oklahoma and when you're in a passing offense like this, you have to be crisp on your routes, and I think that those guys have done a great job of working towards getting better. And there's nothing much more I can say besides that. You'll see this fall. Here, let's go her. She was waiting. Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm grooming Spencer or anything like that, but I try and make sure that I give him those nuggets when I can. I may not be the center of OU football, but I've been around for a while to know the do's and don'ts and to how to operate a winning system. And so I try and give him that advice when he needs it. We have conversations just within our leadership room, and whenever he has a question, I try and guide him. But naturally, great players will do great things and make great decisions, and I think that he's one of them, and so he does a great job. Yeah, I said the same thing when we first walked in. I'm from North Carolina. I had never been to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and so to come here 4 years in a row, hopefully going on my 5th, it's a pretty familiar environment, as you guys may know, and so Side note, this is my favorite sideline, so if anything. But yeah, I love this place. I think it's a great place to play. Yeah, Mike will be special. He's very humble in his approach to coming into the program. He's always willing to take notes. Every time we have a meeting, he has a notebook. He writes down everything. Like he doesn't just write down what he has. He writes down what I have. He writes down the quarterback's reads. And I think that when you have that naturally as a player, you can only help but go up. And I think that'll show this coming season. Talking about Eric, you mentioned him. He's very similar. I think he's a great addition into the running back room. I think him and Kennedy Brooks will be a great tandem, as well as the rest of the gang in there. So they've been a joy to be around, and I'm looking forward to how they'll perform this fall. Yeah, I've been around for a while, and so I didn't initially come into college for the NIL. So to me, it's just like a bonus. It's like, well, it's nice to have, but that's not really my main focus. And so it's similar to my approach on the field. I know I'm not the quarterback, and I know I'm not receiver one, but whenever I do get the ball, I take advantage of those opportunities. And so for the rest of the guys in college football, I hope they do the right thing and take advantage of the opportunities they have the right way. But I guess we'll just see how this thing plays out. It's all new to me and new to you guys, and so I don't really have any high expectations for myself or anything like that. Yeah, as a leader on this team, to make sure that my guys aren't, affected by other people's off-the-field decisions, you first got to recognize that me or you are no better than those guys. They just made a mistake, and that mistake was handled by Coach Riley. We miss those guys, and they still have a legal process going on, so I'll just let that be handled. But for right now, we're focusing on the guys that we do have. I'm leading the guys that are in the locker room right now, and may the best happen to the guys that we lost. And so, yes, I am absolutely confident. Being at OU, we're never reloading. What's the phrase? Forget that. Yeah, we're never rebuilding, and so we always have people. And so that's the great thing about being here. Yeah. So we talked about my leadership style. And basically what that looks like is making myself uncomfortable. I've never been in this position before, been in a position to lead a team that means so much in the eyes of college football. And for me, after this past season, I knew that I was a leader last year, but this year, I'm really a leader. I'm the old head, and everybody looks up to me. And I had to find a way to put myself in a position to lead those guys. And what that looked like for me is making myself uncomfortable and having those difficult conversations, speaking up when I thought things weren't necessarily the way they were going, and, just doing things that guys before me did, like Baker, Kyler, Jay Hurts, and just watching and learning from them. And so I believe that I've made those steps this offseason, and hopefully you guys will see that this coming season. You said the receivers? Yeah, so, yeah, that room was super deep. So we're talking Theo, we're talking new guy, Cody Jackson, we're talking Jaden, and you guys know the rest of the list. But when you're talking about receivers at OU, you have no choice but to step up. You have guys that came before you like CD. You have guys that came before you like Marquise, Dede, and the list goes on. And so much like the receiver room is competitive, the rest of the team is competitive as well. And so with high expectations comes high performance, and so on and so forth. And so you guys get what I'm trying to say. I expect those guys to step up in the moment.
Brian Darby's from our area.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian's one of those guys that stepped up as well. We expect him to make some plays, and he'll be playing along with Drake Stoops and Marvin Mims at that position. And so, Brian will be a playmaker for sure in the inside slot. When I think about leadership at OU, I think about guys like Baker Mayfield. I think about these big names that have been the face of this program. And, I'm just a little old H-back fullback from North Carolina. And so when I thought about being a leader prior to this coming off season, I think about how can I live up to that? I've never done this before. And so that's what I mean by being uncomfortable, being vocal, being the guy that all the younger guys look up to. And so I think I found my niche, and I think I'm progressing every single day in my opinion. And so that's what I mean when I say being uncomfortable. Yeah, so it wouldn't be fair for me to talk about our defense without talking about Coach Grinch. You know, he makes that defense go round, and I don't think it would be the way it is if it wasn't for him. And so to acknowledge the depth that we have on defense, it's similar to offense. You know, let's just talk about linebacker. We have 12 linebackers, and there's only, 2 or 3 positions. And so it forces you to rise to the top. The great ones are going to rise to the top if you want to get on the field. And so it's naturally the way it is at OU. And those guys have done a great job not only responding in their position groups, but to Grinch as well. And you've seen that progression over the past couple of years. Yeah, you know, if there's any game in this world that I've ever been a part of, that's Rose Bowl. I didn't even play, and I wish that we could have that one back. And so, but you're right. You know, if the opportunity presents itself to go out there and win it all, we need to take it. And when that time comes, I'm going to make sure that this team takes it. And but first, I have to make sure we get there. And as a leader, that's on my shoulders, and I'm pretty sure we will. Yeah, you know, that was before my time. So I've had to do my research, and from what I can tell, it means a lot to the people of Norman. And I'm going to do my part by stepping up and making sure it's a fun one. Even though it's in the middle of the day, we're still going to make sure that game is fun and go out there and compete, have a good time. Okay, so he asked about my route running and what I can do to improve it. And so similar to my leadership, how I've took a step towards improving that, in my route running, it's just making myself uncomfortable, trying different techniques, watching guys that came before me. So instead of watching Dimitri, who didn't run as many routes, I'm watching guys like Dede Westbrook, and maybe I can try something that looks like them. It's thinking about what helps me. I'm not as fast. I don't run a 4.3, right? So as a big guy, what can I do to beat a linebacker that's maybe taking away my inside? It's thinking about stuff like that suits my game. And that's how I've gotten better over this past offseason. Yeah, Austin, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in my life. Austin was not only, Austin was not only, hurt, but he was in a position where his career could have been over. And to see someone fight through that and be back where he is now, I look at him every day and I ask him about his leg just to make sure he's all right. And I'm proud to have him back. He'll be a great player for us, and I'm happy for Big Old Stog. Yeah, when I think about my time back home in North Carolina and reflect on how far I've come now, it's similar to what I said before about me being in a position to lead as Baker Mayfield, as Kyler and the rest of the famous gang. And it's like, man, like I'm really here. Like I remember my freshman year seeing guys come to this event, and I said, like, man, like I want to be there. And here I am today, and I recorded all you guys before I came up just to see all the cameras, and I look around, and I'm just like, man, like I'm really here. And so I give all the glory to God, man. I wouldn't be here without them. I thank my parents. They'll probably see this at some point. Shout out to Mom and Dad. I thank my family. And I'm really just grateful to be here. I'm happy to answer you guys' questions. I'm happy to be in a position of leadership, and it means the world to me. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so she asked about my MBA. For those of you that do know, I got 3 more classes left, and I'll be done with my MBA. Me and Caleb Kelly, so it will be done. And my messed up pinky, I dislocated it twice, so it kind of won't straighten anymore. So actually, no, I did it once in high school, and then I just did it again in the spring. And so after this season, I'm going to have surgery on it and make it look straight like this one. So, yeah. Yeah, so talking about the offensive line, as a leader, I had to call them out this past spring, just simply because, like, we need them to step up. We recognize that we have some roles to fill, specifically at the center position. And so it is up to guys like Marquise Hayes and Tyrese Robinson to make sure that those guys are coming along well, because we're going to need them to step up. We need them in order to make it to our ultimate goal. And so I think those guys have done a great job of responding this coming spring. I mean, not this coming spring. They've done a great job of responding this past summer, or over the course of the summer. And we just got to put it together in the fall. And I think that'll be a focal point for the offense. And I'm expecting a lot of those guys. Yeah. Coach Beamer, man, I miss him dearly, and I think the world of Beamer, as you guys know. And like I say, he'll be missed. But Coach Joe John is a great coach as well. What I like about him is that he played tight end, so he's able to pinpoint little things that maybe Beamer didn't talk about as much. Like I said, he was a great coach, but it just takes kind of a player to know one, especially the one that play your position at an elite level. And so he brings his own juice to the table. I'm happy to have him in the room, and he's doing a great job so far. Yeah, so Kennedy's he's not only my teammate, but he's my roommate as well. And so I know that he didn't take any days off when he wasn't playing. You guys didn't see him, but he was still working. And yes, he was a little bit rusty, but I don't think anyone wouldn't be. It was as expected. And so he's done his part in working his tail off to get back to, well, not necessarily back, but to continue to improve. And so I think he'll do a great job for us this coming fall. He's done a great job this past spring. And so, my roomie will be good. Yeah, so Eric and Wanye and Kay Keyshawn, they've been great additions. You guys saw Eric, obviously, in the spring game. I think he performed pretty well. Wanye, he's one of those guys that I talked about at the O-lineman position that needs to step up, and I think he will step up. Talking about Keyshawn on defense, he's a freak of an athlete, and I think his pro day is going to be crazy. But from a football standpoint, he's still learning, and he'll be great for us. Well, I think it was a great way for us to end the season, especially the social media that was surrounded by that game that still got a chip on my shoulder about it. But anyways, it was a great way for us to go out on top, and I think that it built momentum for us to continue into this coming season. And so it's always great to end your last game of the season on a win. Yeah, Benito's my guy. So he's taken tremendous strides. You guys do not understand how far Nick has came from 2018 until now. And so he's not only a player that's looking at himself to improve, but he's improving the guys around him. Much like me, as he's gotten older, he's recognized how important of a role he's playing to this team. And so he'll talk about that today. But yeah, Nick's definitely grown, and I'm proud of him. Yeah, Caleb is going to be an extremely rare talent once he has the opportunity to display it to you guys. And so with that being said, just to talk about him a little bit, he's very approachable. He's very humble, and you could tell that he's always willing to listen. That's just how his personality is, and I appreciate that a lot because it makes my job easier as a leader on this team. Talking about Micah, he kind of reminds me of Kyler, not necessarily in the way that I guess, how can I describe this? He runs like him. He kind of has a little sidearm action to him, and but that's just his playing style. In terms of him as an actual player, I think he has an opportunity to compete with Caleb and be great in this offense. But that's in the future, and we'll see how that works for him. Yeah. So Caleb Kelly, he means the world to me because I'm the old head. I'm the bald guy. But Caleb's like the old head. So whenever I need advice, I go to Caleb. We have all our classes together. We're around each other all the time. And so he's able to guide me in the direction that I need. But talking about how he's made his way back to the field, you got to have a special type of fight in you, not only to miss 1 but 2 seasons. And knowing how hard he's worked, he deserves it all. Everything that's going to come for him, he deserves it all. And he has a special place in my heart simply because I'm around him all the time, and we spend a lot of time together. But I think this year, God willing, he can stay healthy. I think this year will be special for him. So Caleb came in hot. Caleb came in hot and ready. I'm not going to lie to you. He started off strong, but when we started implementing more things, he kind of struggled a little bit, and that's simply him not having time to process everything in our offense. But Spencer had the same ordeal, and so it just takes time, especially in Coach Riley's offense. It's not necessarily the easiest to learn, but once you go ahead and get it, the fruits of your labor are, the sky's the limit. And so the same thing with Caleb. He just hasn't completely gotten it yet, but once he does, similar to Spencer, the fruits of his labor, the sky's the limit. And so they've had similar transitions, but it's only natural. Yeah, Caleb and Spencer, they've had a similar attitude, if I will say. You could tell Caleb's hungry. Caleb, in his mind, he's competing for a starting position. And that's the way you have to look at it, if you want to get better. And I think that ultimately for him, it'll only make him better in the end. I am extremely excited to have any stadium, specifically ours, at 100% capacity, because our fans show up and show out every single game. Shout out to our fans. I love you guys. But, yeah, I'm so excited. To talk about the Red River rivalry, that game is special because when I think about last year, I don't think I really felt like we were missing that many fans in the Red River rivalry. Everybody's just so amped up for that game, you kind of don't even notice. And so hopefully we don't got to go into 50 overtimes this year and we can get it done. Somebody, hopefully the Sooners in 4 quarters. But, yeah, I'm always excited for that game as well as the rest of the fans, as well as the rest of my teammates. And it'll be a fun one as always. All right, thanks, guys.